Hey, this is Chris Hill with the Rising Tide webcast. Once again, excited to come back giving you some direct basics from some of our top producers. I have with me as our guest speaker today, Jerra Gonzales. Jerra, are you there with me?
Hey, Chris, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for jumping on with us today. Can you give us a real quick, high level, how you came to the business and what numbers are looking like right now, how things are going?
Sure, absolutely. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. So I've been with Alliance about 2.5 years now. It'll be 3 years in January. And I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was hired on by my dad, Jerra Gonzales, who was hired by Joseph Dukes. And so that's basically my story. I've really been stepping it up lately, just trying to get some of these super PAC bonuses. I'm on track for 30,000 for this month, and looking to get that super PAC bonus. Just getting out there helping families and making money.
Very cool. So now, when you first started in the business, how good were you at booking appointments on the phone?
Well, I think it's just like with anything, it takes a little bit of trial and error to learn. I definitely was not that great. I mean, I ran into my own challenges as far as sounding like a telemarketer and getting hung up on, and I was not that great, but I stuck with it. I kept asking questions and learning and just trying things that worked and didn't work to get coaching to get better, and now I can book some appointments.
So kind of tell me through, if you speak to 10 people, on average, how many appointments do you book now?
I would say my ratios, if I speak to 10 people, I'll say I'll probably book 5 or 6 out of 10.
Okay, so about 55% booking rate. Now, when
Correct.
you first started, do you remember what your percentage was like?
Oh, Lord, it was probably maybe 2 or 3 out of 10.
So you've increased your skill level from 25% booking to about 55% booking. So a 30% increase.
Mm-hmm.
All right, very cool. So let's jump into the phone script and go a little bit into details on what you say and kind of your mindset behind it. And I'm sure people are interested in your cadence and also the words. So let's just do a role play real quick, and I'll be a lead. My name's Chris, my wife's Crystal. And do you want to do final expense or mortgage protection?
We can start with final expense.
All right, perfect. So ring, ring. Hello?
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Hey, Chris, this is Jerra. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Well, awesome. Hey, Chris, the reason for the call, I'm actually your case manager with the Senior Resource Center here in Albuquerque. And you may not remember, but you sent in may have been you or your wife, Crystal. But we received a card that you sent in on our state-regulated benefits program. Does that sound familiar at all?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it was that little white postcard that you filled out and sent in to us. So they went ahead and assigned me as your case manager, Chris, and I just wanted to verify first that I have your information correct in your file. It looks like you put down here your address as 123 Main Street. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. And so my simple job, Chris, is to schedule a time that I can sit down with you and Crystal to go over the benefits program, explain how it works, and just see which programs you might be able to qualify for.
Okay.
Now, are y'all working or retired?
We're retired.
Okay, awesome. I wish I was retired. I'm still working. So it looks like they have me scheduled to be on your side of town, Chris, tomorrow and Sunday. Do y'all have any like doctor's appointments or anything, or will y'all be around this weekend?
No, we don't have anything tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. So tomorrow I have a slot open around 9 o'clock in the morning, or I can do in the afternoon around 3 o'clock. Which would work better for both of you?
Tomorrow you said around 3 o'clock?
Correct.
That'll work perfect.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put both of you down for 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, which is Saturday, the 12th. And so let's see here. So if I'm coming from I-25 from the east side of town, what's the best way to get to you?
If you come by the Walmart, you go down 2 blocks, take a left at that gas station where they serve the hot dogs, and
Got it.
we're 2 doors down.
Perfect. Okay. So if you can grab a piece of paper and a pen for me, Chris, I'm going to have you write down your case number for me, okay?
Okay. All right, I've got it.
Okay, make sure you find a pen that works.
I've got one.
All right. Okay, so your case number, Chris, is 335278.
Okay.
Got that? Okay, so that's going to be for tomorrow, Saturday, which is the 12th. And I'll go ahead and stop by, let's say between about 3 and 4 in the afternoon, just to account for traffic and other appointments. You can be a little bit flexible with me.
Okay.
And be sure to let your wife know that I'm going to be there so she's not surprised when I show up. Now, when I get there, Chris, the 123, is that number listed on the house or the mailbox?
It's on the house.
Okay, perfect. And what color is your house?
It's a brick front.
Okay, got it. All right. And will there be any cars in the driveway I can look out for?
Yep, there'll be a blue truck and then a white car.
Oh. Awesome. And how about any vicious chihuahuas that are going to bite my leg off?
No dogs.
Okay, perfect. All right, Chris. Well, I have you and your wife down for tomorrow afternoon. I'll go ahead and stop by between about 3 and 4. And my name is Jerra. I'm your case manager. That's spelled Jerra, if you'd like to write that down. And I drive a little black car so that you can look out for me, okay?
Okay, perfect.
All right, so I'll see y'all tomorrow afternoon between about 3 and 4.
All right, great.
All right, see you then.
So things that I noticed, Jerra, is you didn't talk super fast. You talked just kind of slow and normal. And it seemed like you just kept progressing through, almost as if it didn't matter what I said next. You were just going to go to what was next, regardless. What are some of the objections that you get the most when you're calling final expense leads?
So they'll say things like, wait, what is this for? And I'll say, I'm your case manager with the Senior Resource Center here in Albuquerque. We received a request from you on our state regulated benefits program. You may not remember, it's all right. It might have been a little while back, but it was a little white postcard that you received in the mail that said 2020 benefit information for New Mexico residents. And so I'll just keep saying things to remind them.
What if they say they don't have any idea what you're talking about?
You probably don't remember, Chris. It might have been your wife that filled it out. But let me just verify. This is Chris Hill, correct? Over at 123 Main Street. Okay, perfect. So it might have been your wife that filled it out. What it is, it's the state regulated benefits program. And a lot of times they'll say, like, what kind of benefit? Well, we have quite a few different programs. For example, we have a final expense program that can help cover the cost of burial or cremation when you pass away. Are both of you receiving Social Security benefits right now?
We are.
Okay, perfect. Are you aware how Social Security works, like with the final expenses, what they cover and what they don't cover?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, so that's probably why your wife filled this out and sent it in. Social Security only covers about $255 toward the cost of burial or cremation, which is not much. It'll probably buy you a couple dozen roses. So we have a supplemental program that can help make up that difference so your family's not out of pocket, God forbid, when that time comes. So that's one of our programs. We also have quite a few other ones. We have one that can help with out-of-pocket medical expenses, another one that can help, like if you still owe money on your home, that would help pay off your mortgage in the event of your death, just to name a few. But that's my simple job, is to sit down with you and just kind of go over your situation and see which programs would be of benefit to you and see what you might qualify for.
So let's say they say back, well, that's really nice, but we're all good. We don't need. Thank you so much for calling.
Oh, great. Yeah, no problem. So did you and your wife already get something set up that would help cover your funeral expenses?
Yeah, I think she did. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think we did something
Perfect.
over the phone.
Awesome. Well, that'll actually make this a lot quicker. If you already have the final expenses taken care of, we can look at some of the other programs that you might be able to benefit from, like the out-of-pocket medical expenses and things like that. Doesn't take long. In fact, it'll make it a lot quicker if you already have that taken care of. So what time did you say y'all are home from work tomorrow?
You just roll right back into it.
Right.
It's almost like it made it things better that they already had coverage.
Right, because all I'm trying to do is get in the home. If I start selling like a telemarketer saying, oh, well, I can compare your quote and things like that, those are things that telemarketers say. Like, I'm not going to tell them exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to get in the home. Because once I get there, we'll talk about it. Oh, awesome, y'all already have policies. Let's take a look and see what you have, but the point is just getting in there.
I think that's
and now
big,
that
Jerra,
we're
because you said that because I think a lot of people try to compare. They start saying things like, I can beat that price. Or you're not even trying to do that. You're just simply trying to get into the home. That is your only job, is to get into the house.
Correct.
Okay.
And now that we have all of these different programs like cancer policies and accidental death and hospital indemnity, the HMA, the pet HMA, it is a lot of different benefits. So I've switched my script around to say more so the state regulated benefits program versus like the final expense specifically, or if they ask more questions about what type of benefits, I'll explain more in depth. But I've found lately that I've had more luck saying just the benefits program.
So let's say that you call them, it rings twice, and they pick up, and then you start talking, and they say, hey, hold. We're all good. Thank you for calling. How do you pivot if they haven't even give you a chance to speak, really?
I'll just say, hey, no problem. Like I said, I was just giving you a call back on the information that you requested. They went ahead and assigned me as your case manager, and all we're doing is going over the state regulated benefit program to see which options you might qualify for.
You just go right back into it.
Yeah, if it's something that can benefit you, great. If not, at least we know we took the time to review your benefits and make sure that you're taking advantage of all the programs that are available to you. So it doesn't take long, 10, 15 minutes just to look at everything real quick for you.
So let's say they come back and say that, I think that would be great, but with this COVID stuff going on right now, we're not trying to have anybody over at the house. So maybe when COVID is over, maybe then we'll come back and we can look at this then.
Chris, I totally understand. I have a family to protect as well. We have young kids at the house, and I have some, older folks, my grandparents and parents that I need to protect as well. So what they're having us do is, we're practicing social distancing. We are wearing our masks, and it is, a lot easier to take care of this in person because, I can show you my credentials. I can show you the program versus trying to explain it over the phone and things like that. So we're absolutely practicing social distancing. If it makes you more comfortable, we can even sit outside on the porch in the fresh air, and talk about everything that way. But it is important to review your benefits.
Okay. Let's say they say something like, I think I'd be interested in it, but I can't do anything like that without my children knowing So maybe I'll talk to them and then I'll give you a call back.
That would be perfect, Chris. And I think it's very important that your children are aware of the program so that they can help you best determine which options are going to work out for you. Now, why don't we do this? Why don't we schedule a time when your kids can be there? That way we can all talk about it together and make sure that everyone's in the loop with what
Yeah,
programs.
they're super busy, and I don't know that I could get a time when you know how kids are. They'll
I
probably come
know.
to see me.
Trust me, I know. Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I go ahead and take down their names as your emergency contacts right now that I can update in your file, and then we can just, coordinate a time that would work for everybody to sit down and go over everything. Because I need to update your contacts in your file anyway. So how many kids do you have, Chris?
I have 3.
Okay, what are their names?
Abigail, Emma, and Olivia.
And do they all live here in town?
2 of them live in town, and one of them lives out of town.
Okay, awesome. So would it be the 2 here in town that we would need to go over everything with?
It would just be my oldest, Abigail. She's
Just
kind of the one in
Abigail.
charge.
Okay, perfect. And what's Abigail's last name so I can update her as your emergency
Her last name is
contact?
Smith.
Smith. Okay. And what's Abigail's phone number, Chris?
910-995-1166.
Perfect. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give Abigail a call and just introduce myself as your case manager. And I'll just touch base with her and let her know about the program, just like I talked with you about. And then from there, we can coordinate a time with her busy schedule, because I do work nights and weekends to accommodate folks' work schedules. That way we can make sure that we get this taken care of for you. Okay, Chris?
Okay. What does the conversation, now one, does that ever happen to you? Or is that just something random?
No, I've had clients that maybe like they have a little bit of dementia, and you can kind of tell over the phone that they're not really sure, and you're not gonna make much traction anyways, even if you do book an appointment with them without their kids knowing.
Yeah.
And say you do sell them a policy and their kids get mad because you told them something and they have dementia and this and that. So I would rather just establish contact with their kid who's their caregiver, looking out for them in the beginning, because ultimately if they were to pass away, they're going to be the ones paying for their funeral. So just letting them know, hey, I'm their case manager, was just reaching out to you. He listed you as his main emergency contact, and my simple job is to schedule a time that I can sit down with both of you to go over these benefits, and I'll say some of the same things, like, fine, we have some final expense programs that can help cover the cost of burial or cremation, some that can help with out-of-pocket medical expenses, but it is important to sit down, and I want to make sure that you can be there, so that we can make sure that we're doing the best thing for your dad.
Are there any other objections you get on a normal basis?
I mean, they're like with the mortgage protection, sometimes I'll have people that are like, oh yeah, somebody already called me about that, or I already have that taken care of. There have been times where I'll say, great, that'll make my job so much easier if you already have that taken care of. What we can do, Chris, is we actually just came out with some new lower cost programs on the mortgage protection plan that we've been able to help out some of our clients with. And this has just been within the last month or two. So what we can do is I can just schedule a time with you that I can just take a look at what you have, take a look at the mortgage protection program that you have in place. Or what is it that you have? Is it a life insurance or?
Yeah, it's the life insurance.
Okay, perfect. So what we can do is they actually have me scheduled to be on your side of town tomorrow afternoon. Is there any reason that you wouldn't be home, like, say, between about 2 and 3, and
No,
I
I'll be
can
there.
just take what you have?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you down for tomorrow afternoon. And we'll just take a look at what you have. I mean, you might not need to make any changes. Sometimes there's a program that can, offer you better coverage or better benefits, or sometimes we can save you money. But, we don't know if we don't take a look. So it shouldn't take
Okay.
long, like 5-10 minutes.
So let's transition into leads for a second. So when you're calling leads, do you split them up by area, split them up by city? How do you split up your leads to make sure you don't book an appointment that's 2 hours apart from one another?
So I'll typically just split them up like I'll split them into counties, and then I'll split them into cities within that county. So like, for example, when I'm working Bernalillo County, there's different sides of town. So there's like the southwest side, the northeast side. So I'll kind of separate them into, I won't really actually separate them. In fact, when I'm calling them, I'll try to book the sides of town like back to back. So what I'll do is I'll make a note of I'll put like Southwest Albuquerque in that slot. So that way I know when I'm calling the next lead, I'll try to book that slot either right after or right before that side of town.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I do it, as far as depending on how big of an area you're working, that's what I'll do, for those.
So you'll take your calendar and you'll go ahead and place where you're going to book appointments, the time slots, and then you choose the areas. So you might be Southwest, the first 4 appointments, and then Northeast, the last 4 appointments. Like, you go ahead and mark what area. So then when you're calling the book, you just look down, this part of the town is in the Southwest, so you have 4 options. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always work out that way. I mean, if I'll try to just start in the morning and then book through the evening, but I'll try to at least book the folks back to back that are in the same part of town, because it might not always work out that all the southwest side is going to be available in the morning, and the whole northeast in the evening. It doesn't always work out that way, but I try to at least book the same areas by just making a note like Southwest here, Northeast. That way, if I'm calling on another lead that's in the Southwest part, I can try to book them before or after that other appointment on that side of town.
Now, do you write on your lead when you're making dials?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Just any notes, things you write on the back? Do you write it on the front?
So on the back of the lead, I'll normally make notes when I'm talking to them. So if they tell me something like, oh yeah, my husband, this and that, I'll write, oh, what's your husband's name? And I'll make a note of his name. If they start talking about their kids, grandkids, I'll write names. Anything that I can make note of, I write that on the back of the lead just for my own notes. And then as I'm, you noticed me asking the house number, color of their house, things like that, I'll write directions or notes on the back of the lead, like if they have a dog, things like that. And I write it on the back, that way when I show them the lead, they're not seeing all my notes on the front of it.
When you dial a lead, do you leave a voicemail if they don't answer?
No.
How many times do you dial the lead?
I'll call them 3 times in a row.
How many times do you let it ring? Do you let it? Some phones will ring forever, or do you cut it off? Or
I'll usually let it ring about 4 times.
4 times, and then you hang up and dial again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
When you answer, so let's say you've called a lead 3 times. What do you do with it then? Just flip it over to put into a different stack, or what happens after that?
I'll make a note on the back that says the date and no answer. I'll just put N/A. And that's kind of my notes. Or if it went straight to voicemail, put straight voicemail. That way I know when I call it again, the last date that I called. And sometimes I'll even put AM, I called around 11 a.m. That way maybe the next time I call it, maybe I'll try in the evening, after 5 or something like that. That way I have a reference of, so I'm not calling them the same time every day that they're at work, trying them a different time of day. That way I can try to catch them.
What's the most times you think you've called one lead?
Oh gosh. Uh, Probably like 6 or 8 times.
6 or 8 times. So is that six or
Yeah.
eight times where you did the triple dial, or just 6 times total?
Oh no, like 6 different dial sessions where I call them 3 different dials, like three
So
different.
you called that number 18 times?
Correct.
So I think it'd
Yeah,
be
I
safe
mean,
to say you worked the lead.
oh yeah. Typically, if I don't reach them by after like 3 times, that's about like my magic number. I'll put them in a pile, like a door knock pile, to actually drop by their house. Because
Okay.
by then, if you called them 3 different times, at 3 different times a day, you know, it's time to drop by the house and
I
try to
guess.
book the appointment that way.
About how many appointments are you trying to run a week?
40.
40? And then do
Hmm.
you do the Monday, dial on Monday, run Tuesday, Wednesday?
I sure do. Dial Monday for Tuesday, Wednesday, dial again Thursday for Friday, Saturday.
And so typically, if at your skill level, what time do you start dialing on Monday?
On Monday, I'll start between 7:30 and 8 in the morning.
And what time are you normally finished?
Whenever I book 20.
So whenever, so
Sometimes I finish
what's the average?
by noon. I would say probably within about 5 or 6 hours. So
So in
the
5 or 6 hours?
we, mhm. The way that we have our dial session set up is we'll dial from like 8 to noon, and then we have with the Leventovich team we have a sales training from 12 to 1 that we can kind of break for lunch and be on the training, and then from 1 to 3 is when I do and finish up my dials in the afternoon, and then I currently have my recruiting in the afternoons from 3 to 6, so I'm recruiting and interviewing. And then if I hadn't booked my appointments by that 3 o'clock, then I have some extra time in the evening, like between 6 and 8 p.m. to finish up those last 20 appointments, or even more if I have more leads to dial on, and you know I'll go more than 20 if I have more dial time.
So what I'm hearing, Jerra, is the number of phone calls to you does not matter as much as the number of appointments, and you just don't stop until you get your number.
Correct. I mean, as a rule of thumb, sometimes it takes me 100 dials, sometimes it takes me 250. But as a rule of thumb, I would say to book 20 appointments, you're looking at around 200 dials, connecting with about 40 people, and booking 20 if you're at a 50%, you know, um, close ratio.
All right, so that's
So
really
that
helpful. So if you're saying if you make 200 phone calls, you should connect with about 40 people, and then out of 40, you should book about 20. So if your
right.
numbers don't match up with Jerra's on the 200 to 40 to 20, then you need to call your growing up line and say, hey, here's Jerra's numbers, 200 to 40 to 20. Here's my numbers, and they're not matching up. Can you help me fix it? So I think that gives people a really good measuring stick to say, hey, here's where you're missing it, or here's where you're killing it, and measure yourself up. But I think the coolest thing, and I've noticed this about Paul Menachino as well, y'all have this mentality that says, this is my goal, so no matter what it takes, I'm going to get my goal. And if I get done early, cool. If I get done late, cool. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to reach my goal, which I think is why you are so successful. Because I'm
That's
imagining
right.
you probably don't enjoy dialing, do you?
It's not my like top 3 favorite hobbies, but it's one of those things that I know is necessary in order to make a living, in order to help families. It's not the most glamorous thing, but if you can just kind of make it fun, like I try to smile when I'm dialing, and just kind of like, hey, how's it going? Just talk to them as if I'm calling like one of my friends or family members. Like if I'm calling, I think that's the biggest thing, like for new agents, is they struggle with talking like a telemarketer, and being a little bit too formal. And I think the biggest takeaway that I could tell someone is just be yourself, like lighten up a little bit and just talk to them as if they're your mom. like, hey, how's it going? Just giving you a call back, I think that goes a long way, just that tone and being a little just less formal about it.
How did you learn not to sound like a telemarketer? Was there
Because
anything you
I
did, or
sounded like a marketer enough times, and I had to learn to adjust, and I just asked questions to, people on my team, Joseph Dukes, Mike Leventovich, people on our team that were booking appointments and having success with it. I think that just asking questions about what do you say when you get this objection, and everybody has a little bit different style. So talking to multiple people that are having success, and just that's kind of how I put together this little script that I have, is by talking to multiple people and taking little tidbits and kind of making it my own to fit my own personality.
very cool. Thank you so much for being on with us today. We're so proud of you. You're killing it. We're excited for your growth. Big things that I picked up were you didn't get upset making the phone call. You pretty much stayed calm the whole way through. Objections, you just led right back to the same thing. I like the part where you went ahead and mapped out your calendar kind of for your schedule. It's not always ideal, but you knew where you were booking, what area you were trying to aim towards to kind of help you with your directions. I like the part where you dialed it 3 times, and then after the third dial session, which was 9 times, and you moved it to a door knocker where you still worked that lead. And then the 200 phone calls, 40 contacts, and 20 appointments as the measuring stick. I think that really helps people, Jerra, because then they know, all right, here's what my numbers should look like. So if my numbers should look like this and they don't look like that, then I know there's a problem and I know I need some help. And then that helps the person coaching them figure out where they're at. So great stuff. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you all for watching today, and I will see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.